Okay, this is the player module. The player module creates a bunch of general characteristics for the character, uh, speed, player X and player Y, scale factor, and then we create the player within the dungeon. This code here, all it does is create the collision box, adds a camera parented to it. Right here's where it adds the camera, there's where it adds the collision box, parenting. Oh, lights. It adds a light to the to a location, I believe above the camera, so that it gets kind of like a spotlight look to it as you wander through the dungeon. Let's see here. Then we select the cube and get the area of the dungeon, get a point for the player, and we start looking for a place to put the player within the dungeon based on what the square is holding. Is it solid rock, whatever. So we get a random X and a random Y value within the dungeon. This gets the element in the array. Is it a solid rock? Is it an open place? And we're looking for an open place. So if matrix position equals 0, then player X equals the X random value, and player Y equals Y random value, and found equals false, which stops the while loop because it starts out as true. And then taking the scale factor into account, we just place the player in the game and return the information. The Dungeon Logic module adds on the game logic controllers. This is actually what you'll see a lot of people doing in tutorials, where they're adding the controllers and actuators and sensors, but it's doing it via Python. It wasn't very easy to figure all this out, but I was able to do it. We're just adding logic bricks for forward movement, for back movement, and as you see quite often, all of these right here are doing the same kind of functions as these right here. It's just a different direction. Let's see, the direction right. And the sensor key is selected here as to, like if you press D, if you press A, that's what sends it in that direction. Then we prepare for the mouse movement. Add the controller and the sensor for the mouse move. Newly added logic bricks are the last ones, and this is where we're actually putting in the information needed for mouse move. And this note right here, that's actually an old note. You can ignore that. At that time I was having the user actually load the mouse move in manually, whereas I figured out how to do it via code here. And then we set the world, set up the mist and the characteristics of the mist. And this wild and crazy function just sets it up so that we're in the right context, so that when this is done, all you have to do is hit the play button and you're in the dungeon wandering around. Okay, and Arceus is the main file that actually calls all the other modules and gets the job done. We start timing it when the code starts. If you transfer this over to your computer, you're going to want to change this path so that you can pick up your textures. We set the context to 0, set the array width and height for the level. Set the scale factor. Scale factor needs to be greater than 8 or the camera size is too large. And here let's see, we create the array, and then we tunnel through the level, creating ones as we go through, and create the tunneling for it, and mark the rooms every now and then with a 7. And we load the room list with all of the coordinates for where the rooms are located, where the 7s are in the array. Based off of all that information, we pass the array in to build the dungeon with the textures and the scale factor. Then we print how much time it took to do that. Alright, here we create the player, add the player info, add the logic, and this right here is the function I mentioned quite a long time ago in one of the earlier tutorials, where it draws out the array in the console so you can get a picture of what it looks like there. And that'll be kind of handy for somebody that wants to take a look at what the code's doing. Okay, and then it prints out the total time for the code to run. And that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.